this is Mrs. Haney. I hope you checked out my video about adding fractions in mixed numbers. This video is about subtracting fractions in mixed numbers. So go back and watch adding first. That always helps before subtracting. Okay, let's get right into it. So the steps for subtracting fractions in mixed numbers are the same as adding, except we're subtracting. So we start with checking for like denominators. Right now we have 3/4 minus 3/8. I don't have the same denominator, so I can't subtract just yet. I have to list my multiples for 4 and for 8 and find a common denominator before I can subtract. So listing the multiples would be 4 and 8, and the first multiple of 8 is 8. So this will be my least common denominator. Well, 3/8 already has the denominator that I want, so I'll leave that fraction alone. Now I need to change 3/4 to have a denominator of 8. So you have to ask yourself, 4 times what will get you to 8? And that would be 4 times 2. So I'll multiply the top and the bottom of my fraction by 2. 3 times 2 is 6, so now I have 6/8. I'm going to rewrite my problem. And make sure you write it in the correct order since we are subtracting. You need to have the larger number minus the smaller number. So I have 6/8 minus 3/8. Now that I have like denominators, all I need to do is subtract the numerators. So 6 minus 3 is 3. Keep the denominator of 8. Check if my fraction is simplified. 3/8 is in simplest form. So I'm done. That's my answer. Now, if you add in whole numbers, the steps will stay the same. So let me go ahead and add in some whole numbers. Let's start with 3 3/4 minus 1 3/8. So I've already changed the fractions. I'm good to go with my like denominators. I'll just rewrite my problem as 3 6/8 minus 1 3/8. Now remember to subtract both the whole numbers and the numerators. No addition here, it's all subtraction. So 3 minus 1 for my whole numbers, I'm left with 2. And 6 minus 3 gives me a numerator of 3. And I keep my denominator of 8. So my final answer would be 2 3/8. Now there is a very special case when subtracting, and I want to go over that right now. The steps are still the same, but let me show you where our problem is. So first we'll find our common denominator. We'll list our multiples of 5 and our multiples of 10. 5 times 1 is 5, and 5 times 2 is 10. 10 times 1 is also 10, so I'll be using 10 as my least common denominator. 2 7/10 has the denominator that I want, so I'll leave it. 7 2/5 though, I'll need to multiply that by 2 to end up with my denominator of 10. So now I have 7 4/10. Okay, let me rewrite the problem. 7 4/10 minus 2 7/10. Think back to our basic rules of subtraction. We always subtract the bigger number minus the smaller number. Well, we have 7 minus 2, so we're good to go there, but we can't subtract 4 minus 7. So we have to regroup. Regrouping with fractions is a little bit different, but the basic rules are still there. So we're going to take 1 away from our whole number. If we take 1 away from 7, we're left with 6. Now to add on to our numerator, our fraction is out of 10. So I'm adding a whole onto that 4, so whatever the denominator is, add it to your numerator. So now I'll rewrite. It's very important to rewrite so we have the right numbers when we're subtracting. So I have 6. 4 plus 10 is 14. I have 6 14/10. It's okay that my fraction is improper right now because after I subtract, I'll be left with a regular mixed number. So now I'm subtracting 2 7/10. And now we're okay. If we check, we have 6 minus 2. That works out. I'm left with 4. And then 14 minus 7 leaves me with 7/10. Double check that this is in simplest form. And it is, so my final answer would be 4 7/10. Keep practicing. Let me know if you need any help. Okay, 5th grade, I have one more video for you about subtracting fractions. The only difference with this problem is that we will be subtracting a mixed number from a whole number. So right now we only have one fraction. To be able to subtract, we have to create our own fraction, and the way we do that is by using the denominator that we already have and creating what I call a placeholder. So because there is no fraction right now, we'll keep our numerator as 0, so 0 over 5. Since we already have like denominators, I don't have to change any of my fractions. I can just start regrouping because right now I can't subtract 0 minus 3. So I'll use the steps that I already know about regrouping fractions, and I'll take 1 away from the whole number and 4 becomes 3, and then I'll add a whole fraction onto 0 over 5. So I'll take my denominator and add 5 to the numerator. So now I'll rewrite, I have 3 and 5/5, which is the same as a whole, minus 3 and 3/5. Now I can subtract because I have a whole number minus a whole number and a numerator minus a numerator. So 3 minus 3 is 0. I won't have a whole number in my answer. 5 minus 3 is 2, and I keep my denominator of 5. So I have 2/5 as my final answer. I hope this helps. Thanks for watching.